Oh my God, that song is so bad. So loud and so bad. So we'll be good and well.
Not
we'll
as
be
loud.
as well. Not as loud. It is part one of the week 5 preview here on the Audible, presented by Sleeper. So let's talk Broncos and let's talk Colts. It is a Broncos show. And with the Colts traveling to Denver on a short week for Thursday Night Football, Bloom, you're just wondering, are we going to see Jonathan Taylor?
Right. So, here's the theme for this week. Okay. Are either of these teams actually good? All right. I don't even know if we're going to learn that this week, but at the very least, if you're losing these matchups, we can start to nudge you away from the actually good column. And I think this is one of many games this week that qualifies. You are going to see Matt Ryan coming off of a good game against Tennessee, going up against Denver, who lost Randy Gregory. And so I wonder if this is going to be one of those things where just by accident, now they get to see Baron Browning is actually good, really good. And
Right.
they have to play him now. So now you'll see he's good. But we'll see if they can get after Matt Ryan, who has those lead feet in the pocket and has fumble problems. And this is a defense, I think, that is willing to roll up their sleeves and say, okay, Javonte Williams is out now. The offense is misfiring. We can handle it. So we'll see if they can harass Matt Ryan. You can run on Denver like we saw last week, but Jonathan Taylor's hurt. I don't think we're going to see Jonathan Taylor. I think if you have Jonathan Taylor on your fantasy team, you should hope to not see him. You should hope he doesn't play in this game because you're much more likely, I think, to get a setback, and you're much more likely to get a performance that you're not happy with in your lineup, but you'll feel compelled to play him. So we'll see some Nyheim Hines. We'll see some Deion Jackson. We'll see some Phillip Lindsay probably. Hines in a PPR league should be in your lineup as a running back 2 or flex. And we'll see if Mo Alley Cox can follow up his outstanding game with another good game. We know Matt Ryan is throwing to the tight ends with high efficiency here, and Denver does have problems covering the tight end. Michael Pittman was down a little bit. And Cecil, let me ask you this. Patrick Surtain that's Pittman's guy, right? I mean, that's going to be.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying bench Michael Pittman, although you might wish you had. And certainly if you have another matchup that you like, a player that you like, that you want to get in your lineup, and Pittman's the guy you have to bench, like, really, am I going to bench Michael Pittman? It's Patrick Surtain. So I think that Pittman probably lower than your usual output, but maybe more Alec Pierce. And what we're watching here with Pierce is he's been the best downfield threat for this team. Michael Pittman, more of a possession receiver, but he's not getting more than 50% of the snaps. Paris Campbell is getting on the field over Alec Pierce right now. So if we start to see that shift, Pierce could be yet another breakout rookie wide receiver. Is Denver actually good?
Yeah, no, they're not. They absolutely suck, and things are bad. Although, I got some stories for you off there. My key still works to the building,
Yes.
so I was happy about that, Bloom.
Yes.
But I will say this. Watch out for those tight ends, plural. I'm not saying this is like start Jelani Woods. That would be ridiculous. And I'm not saying what the heck flex a tight end, but yeah. I asked Jaira Evero about it yesterday. I was like, these guys have 3 tight ends. How's that change your game plan? And he gave a pretty good answer. Jaira Evero is their best head coach. Unfortunately, he's not their head coach. He's their defensive coordinator. Their head coach is Happy Fun Baby Star. He's Nathaniel Hackett. Everything's a little stressful for him. I always say, day still punching, right, Bloom? When people say, how's your day? And I say, day still punching. I think Hackett is noticing, or in the world of the seriousness of this league, because he doesn't look as Happy Fun Baby Star now as he used to. That's for sure. Listen, I want him to be happy. I want him to be Happy Fun Baby Star as long as they're winning. But when they're not winning and they lose to the Raiders and it's pathetic and it's embarrassing and it's awful, like, okay, that changes some things. So some changes are coming. It won't be yet Latavius Murray. Yet is the operative word. And there was someone I was talking to, Bloom, and I'll tell you off air who it is. There was someone that has, got quite a bit of experience in NFL. And as I was talking to him yesterday, he was like, had Javonte not gotten hurt, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have cut Melvin Gordon.
Right. I mean, they benched him during the game.
Yeah.
They benched him. They
Yes.
actually benched him.
Yes, and he didn't get the second snaps behind Javonte. Mike Boone did. So that transition was already in place. That was already taking place, where Mike Boone comes on the field for a Melvin Gordon rep, and you're like, what? And then when Gordon actually does get on the field, it's a fumble return for a touchdown. So on Thursday, it's a short week. This is the thing. Latavius Murray had 57 yards and a touchdown 3 days ago for the Saints. Okay, for the Broncos, I wouldn't expect that, even that stat line this week, Bloom. But it's coming. It's coming. But what also is coming is a bunch of passing and Russell Wilson using short passes to complement or supplement, I should say, the ground game that necessarily won't be there. I know Hackett wants his system, but this isn't going to be his system this year. This is going to be figuring out what's good for us and then getting by without Javonte. That means Latavius eventually, but for Thursday night, it does mean Gordon. So one last hurrah. And there's always that opportunity, Bloom. You love Narrative Street. Yeah. There's always the opportunity that Gordon gets it. He never, ever, ever fumbles again. He's fumbled. He's fumbled in all the last 5 games. I know there's only been 4 games.
Every game.
Back to every game.
Day.
Every day. Where's pot stoner degenerate Jason? But anyway, like Latavius Murray has fumbled once in 5 years. So you have a guy that's fumbled every time in 5 games, and you have one guy that's fumbled once in 5 years. So it will be Murray, not this week. If Gordon can get it, maybe he gets back in the good graces, but he already knew. Yeah. He already knew, and the team was already making that move. So more passing could be more for Jerry Jeudy as a what-the-heck flex, more for Cortland Sutton as a wide receiver too. Greg Dulcich eventually. Now, I did CC you on a tweet, Bloom. Very rare. Yeah. Sigmund Bloom CC, because there is, and I'll name names. It was Mike Kliss that suggested, like, hey, he might play this week, Greg Dulcich. Now, out at practice, we got to see 9 minutes of stretching, Bloom. Hey. I'm not complaining. I truly am not complaining because my key to the building worked. But I drove like 35 minutes to go to the Broncos headquarters one way and watch 9 minutes of stretching. But then I also got to talk to the coaches and all that sort of things. Yeah. But anyway, in the 9 minutes of stretching, Greg Dulcich wasn't out there. Mm-hmm. So I think like there's a few eventual guys, right? Go to where the puck is going, not where it's at. Well, the puck is going towards Greg Dulcich. It's going towards Latavius Murray. But right now, this week, it says more Russ, more Sutton, more Jeudy, more fumbling from Gordon. I hope not.
Right. Maybe he could get benched again. And Gordon is more of a what the heck flex sleeper of the week type play, even though he is obviously the lead back. I love that. Obviously, he's the lead back. Well, obviously, you benched him during the game and showed that you don't trust him anymore. So, go figure. And yeah, let Russ cook. See, I have in my notes, let Russ cook and don't let Melvin drop dinner on the floor because then we're not going to get to eat. Right? I mean, don't let Melvin Gordon serve dinner. Let Russ cook, but don't let Melvin serve. And like you said, it's Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And let's watch KJ Hamler. Nathaniel Hackett saying we need more Hamler. Let's watch Hamler, more of a really deep what the heck flex type of play. But these Thursday night games, we get to pay closer attention to usage. We get to pay closer attention to, I think the overall picture here is, Javonte Williams, even though they weren't using him this way, which is much to the chagrin of fantasy players, right? Like Javonte Williams is very foundational in this offense, and the loss of Javonte Williams changes this offense. We'll see. Maybe it just makes it a bad offense. But they weren't using him like a foundational player before that. So there you go. I don't even know if I use the word chagrin correctly, but it's kind of on brand since they weren't using Javonte Williams correctly.
There you go. Giants and Packers. That's what's up next in the Week 5 preview here on the Audible. And the Giants side of things, who's playing quarterback? As Daniel Jones is banged up, and which wide receiver they're going to go to and why. I think it was on the Waiver Wire show where we're getting Kadarius Toney questions on the Waiver Wire show. It's all Saquon Barkley on the Giants. That's worked. Keep doing it. I don't think it works this week at Lambeau, but, well, keep doing it because it's what you got.
In London, Cease.
In London. Sorry,
In
in
London.
London.
That's okay. That's okay. We all get our 12 hours of football. So if it's not, are either of these teams good? It's more like this team is good, right? Green Bay is good, right? They certainly should be able to handle this Giants with whoever at quarterback if they're actually good. And who's the quarterback? I don't know. Davis Webb, maybe peg leg Daniel Jones. Maybe, I don't know. So yeah, Green Bay's defense. Here are your two plays when the Giants have the ball: Saquon Barkley and Green Bay's defense. And I want to say just quickly on Barkley, because he is the most valuable player in fantasy football right now. I think if we were doing drafts today, Cease, it's him or Cooper Kupp as the first overall pick. Justin Jefferson after last week is still back in the mix. But I'm just glad that Barkley's going to get paid. And I say that I don't want to bloom him.
Yeah.
I want him to get paid. But I'm just
it's
glad.
Week 5, baby. It's week 5.
Right. I'm just glad that he's showing out that and again, it's Dave Gettleman shaking his fist saying, see, he can be the whole offense. He can change the game. And if they have any chance of hanging in this game, it will be because of Barkley.
It'll be because of Barkley, and then it'll be because of Romeo on the other side. Romeo and those running backs for the Packers. It seems like, are they good? Are they good? Well, this is a week to prove it, Bloom, with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
With extra emphasis, and then kind of show off what they've been developing. Again, Seattle. And I know it's an S. There's Seattle on my mind for another reason, Bloom. I'll tell you off air. September is the preseason. Well, we're out of September. We're in October. So the Packers in regular season mode.
Yeah, and you hope that this is also when this offense starts to really come into focus, because you now have the rust knocked off of David Bakhtiari, Elgton Jenkins, their excellent combo of tackles. You have Romeo Doubs now really worked into the offense. Alan Lazard is healthy now. Robert Tonyan has knocked the rust off after his ACL tear. So this is a game, again, we'll all get to watch this because it's in London if you get up early enough. And after Alvin Kamara was inactive last week, everyone's going to get up early for this one, just in case there isn't a surprise inactive. But Rodgers to Lazard, Rodgers to Doubs, that's working. That sounds good. Aaron Jones is in our lineup every week. We're waiting on A.J. Dillon to have a big game, a truly big game. This could be it. The game script is going to favor A.J. Dillon in this one. And still, Dillon has that same range of outcomes as a Tony Pollard or a Kareem Hunt, where the upside is large enough to justify taking those floor games. Robert Tonyan, you could do worse. A tight end, at least he caught a touchdown last week. But we did also see Aaron Jones throw a pick 6 to Jack Jones for New England, the wrong number 13. New England found another one, Cease. They found another great cornerback on the scrap heap, or at the very least, the one that other teams were overlooking. And we'll see. It's very rare to see Aaron Rodgers throw those pick 6s. So maybe the Giants defense can make a play to keep a game close, because Bailey Zappi took the Packers to overtime last week.
Yeah, more on hot Bailey Zappi talk coming up later in the program. But Bloom, I just want to say I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett. Okay. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, because it's Steelers and Bills up next, and it's like, well, I'm sorry, kid, but this is the NFL. And honestly, I'm happy about his future struggles, Bloom, because I believe in Kenny Pickett, and I believe that he will learn from his experiences. He wasn't going to learn behind Mitchell Trubisky. He's not going to learn holding a clipboard. He's going to learn getting out there and throwing 3 picks. Again, 3 might be in the first half, Bloom, and don't bench him. Don't worry about your record. Right. Don't worry about anything. Mike Tomlin's never been below 500. You're going to be this year, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry. You got a young quarterback who needs to learn. You got a brutal schedule. You don't have a great team. You've got injuries. All right, so it is Kenny Pickett, and I believe it was Matthew Berry, Bloom. Mm-hmm. Shout out our friend Matthew Berry, who put out the target percentage for guys when Pickett was in, right? And it certainly favors George Pickens. So Pickens, and it did not. I think Chase Claypool was the least targeted in terms of target share when Pickett was out there. So Kenny, I'm sorry. But this is what you have to go through, kid, and I hope that you learn, and I hope it works out. But this week, you're going to get slaughtered.
Cease. We've been waiting for Kenny Pickett, right? Calling for Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
Right. And it seemed a little bit irrational at what most Pittsburgh beat writers were forecasting was the bye. Wait for the bye, right? And I wonder, Cecil, you're in Colorado, so you know what my note says for this week, right? Oh my God, you killed Kenny. We killed Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be every week, right? Look at the schedule. Next week, Tampa Bay. Oh my God, we killed Kenny. Next week after that, Miami. Oh my God, we killed Kenny. Next week after that, Philadelphia. Oh my God,
and it'll
we
be a different
Kenny.
way every time, right?
We killed Kenny.
Yes.
Every week, and then the bye, right? So, I mean, like you said, learn on the job. I hope that's what we say about this 4-week stretch. I hope we say that it's helped him learn. Like I said on the couch, like you have to be at the limit of your abilities if you're an NFL quarterback, and you want a quarterback who's going to start out outside of his abilities and then rein it back in. It's much easier to do that than take a quarterback who won't play to the limit of his abilities and prod him to get out there. Kenny Pickett, that's no problem. That's where he's going to play. Whew. But against Buffalo, again, I put this stat out there. See, the worst quarterback in fantasy football is not Justin Fields. It's not Mitchell Trubisky. It's not Cooper Rush. It's the quarterback facing Buffalo. And whether it was Tua Tagovailoa, I know he got a concussion. I know Lamar Jackson. They faced some okay quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford. It isn't like they faced terrible quarterbacks.
Right.
But that's how good this Buffalo defense has been. So, yeah, you're still going to play Najee Harris, and you want to see if the dump-offs are there. Yes, you're going to play George Pickens because we know Pickett to Pickens in effect, and Pickett knows that he is going to – you just put the ball around him somewhere. He can make the play. And we see Pat Freiermuth very much on the same page, and we're going to watch to see if Deontay Johnson is. You probably are going to play Deontay Johnson, but I understand if you don't. And this week, if he's not really prominent in Kenny Pickett's eyes and his field vision and he doesn't get a lot of targets, then we have to trust that that's just going to be the trend, especially against these tough defenses. Now, you would think, it's so frustrating, right? We're talking about the Steelers. You say rookie quarterback, very ferocious defense, front seven, Von Miller. So you have a game plan in place, maybe a lot of quick passing to Deontay Johnson, right? Set up run after catch ability. But the Steelers, we can't count on them to have any kind of rational game plan in any game. So we'll see. And by the way, the Steelers beat the Bills last year. Do you remember that in the league season opener? Just like in the Cincinnati game, we beat a good team in the season opener, and then we killed Kenny.
Don't get cocky, right? Isn't that what Han Solo said when Luke got a TIE fighter? Yeah, I got one. Yeah, great kid. Don't get cocky. Great steal. And you know what's going to happen is there's going to be some garbage time because the Bills will be up like 35-3 or whatever. And then Kenny will do so because Kenny will keep fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah. He could keep fighting. He doesn't know what he's doing yet.
Right.
He's not really good at that said fighting, but he's going to keep fighting. So, some garbage time. Can Kenny Pickett be the, I hate to invoke this, Bloom, but the Blake Bortles, like king of garbage time? Sure. Fine.
He won't let up.
Yeah, he won't let up. The Bills won't let up. We're watching the injury report for Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie. You are considering Khalil Shakir maybe as a sleeper of the week. Brought to you by Sleeper. Okay. Are they ever going to run the ball? Ever? Please? Anybody? Bueller? Zach? I even give Zach Moss the ball. But it's the Bills. I doubt they will, Bloom.
Yeah, it's the Steelers, right? So Stephon Diggs, there's nobody that can cover him.
No.
And you mentioned Khalil Shakir. If Isaiah McKenzie is cleared from concussion protocol, then you want McKenzie. And if he's not, then you want Shakir. Shakir is absolutely a sleeper of the week. With Gabe Davis, like you said, Cecil, we're watching the injury report. And if you see limited ankle, or even he misses some practices, and I don't want to say the Steelers would love this, right, if they're taken lightly, but it's a long haul. Let's not have Gabriel Davis's ankle just stay in this state where he's not 100%. He's not as effective, but he's out there. You don't need that. Khalil Shakir can also play outside. And maybe it's a Dawson Knox week. Let's not overlook Dawson Knox as if you're not getting the expected contributions from the slot, or maybe Dawson Knox plays in the slot. Maybe James Cook plays in the slot. I think they don't trust him yet. Rightfully, I think they don't trust him yet. But this could also be a garbage time game for him. But I do think you still see Devin Singletary asserting himself as the clear number one. You see him asserting himself as part of the passing game. Again, maybe he can help pick up some of the slack with these injuries at slot receiver. And I do think that now, again, we're not going to see Singletary in garbage time. but I think we're seeing him enough that he is at least a flex play, if not a running back, to attach to this offense, which should have a lot of success against the Steelers, who made Zach Wilson look like Richard Todd, Ken O'Brien. Who's the Jets quarterback that we go to when we say he made him look like a good Jets quarterback? Joe Namath? I'm not old enough to remember that.
Chad Pennington had some flashes, right?
Some moments,
Little Chad.
Zach Wilson can do stuff Chad Pennington could never do.
No. There you go. All right. Blah, 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 blah. Chargers and the Browns are up next. Chargers, are they good? Yes. And by the way, FQD 19, I want to talk about South Park before we move on, Bloom, because when I'm on the ultimate road trip, right? And Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl, blah, blah, blah. What I put on when I'm writing, when I'm not watching the film, because you can watch the coach's tape, is South Park. I try to, if there's a Comedy Central South Park marathon on, I'll throw it on, and it's a perfect thing to write on because one, I've seen them all, so I don't have to like stare intently at it. But two, I can be typing. You were talking about your typing off air, Bloom, like, and then like, oh, there's that one part, and then right. So like South Park for me, perfect.
Can I?
And when Casa Bonita opens, you're coming down to Casa Bonita.
Yes, because he's going to tell a quick South Park. They bought it, right?
Yeah.
They bought it. That's going to be awesome. So here's my quick South Park story. First of all, do you remember how long it's been since South Park's been on the air now?
Oh, geez. Had to be late 90s, right?
25 years. Yeah, 25 years. So I remember in college that back in the days of VHS tapes, I had quite a nice VHS movie collection. I remember one time we were all hanging out.
Sorry, Joe.
We were all hanging
not
out.
That movie.
Yeah, right. You're thinking of your movie collection. Anyway, and we're all hanging out like you do when you're in college, and somebody comes through the door and they have a VHS tape with no label or anything on it. They're like, I've got it. And we're like, what? He's like, I've got it. It's the funniest thing you'll ever see in your life. And he put it in, and it was the Christmas card. It was the Santa versus Jesus fight.
Right.
And at the time, it felt like it was the funniest thing we ever saw in our lives. Also got to see Pulp Fiction, a pirated Pulp Fiction, before it was ever even out in the theaters. Those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. I took, when Liam was a baby, I took his baby carrier and 2 diaper bags. One actually had diapers in, the other had a video camera in, and there was a baby room in the theater back home, out at Yuma, not at Grover. Anyway, so you could sit in the baby room, your baby could, be fussy, and it wouldn't bother the other people watching the movie. So I went to watch The Phantom Menace, and I had my son, who was a baby. I had 2 baby bags, 2 diaper bags, one with diapers, one with a camera. And I was able to capture the Darth Maul fight, because that's the only part of Phantom Menace that I really, really wanted to care about. Space politics. Yeah, let's make 3 hours about space politics. And then 10 minutes of laser swords. Anyway.
Yeah, I hope Jake Lloyd finds some peace, man.
I hope he does as well. All right. From hot Jake Lloyd talk, we'll go anywhere on this show to Chargers and Browns. Sorry for the detour, but I love that story, Bloom, because that Christmas special.
Oh, I mean, we had no idea what it was. We had no idea.
Like,
who was? We didn't know anything about trade
cardboard cutout.
Yeah, right. I mean, it was totally new. Totally new.
Yeah, totally new and fresh. Chargers and Browns, not new and fresh. But Chargers side, we're waiting to see Keenan Allen. The expectations is he'll be back this week, Bloom. The expectations were he was going to be back last week, and then he was a healthy scratch. So anyway, we'll watch for Keenan Allen, see what Big Mike does. It's kind of rinse repeat with the Chargers. Go out there and, well, trounce the Browns.
Yeah, and I think we have the Chargers are good, right? And are the Browns good? Maybe the Browns might surprise us, because we did see the Chargers get thumped by the Jags, but then they thumped the Texans, and it probably was because Justin Herbert wasn't healthy. That's why there was such a big difference in results there. Herbert looks good. He's back in our lineups. Eckler looks great. You can run on Cleveland. We'll see if they can get their running game going. Mike Williams looks great. I'm not sure about Keenan Allen. When you hear walked off the field with trainers at practice, you wonder if he had a setback. I think we'll see based on his practice participation this week if he did, and if he did, the first injury is worse than the second injury. The second injury, Dr. Gene has taught us, is usually worse than the first. So we may still be looking at an extended absence, but that doesn't mean to play Josh Palmer. He fell out of favor with the team last week, much like Albert O did with Denver. So Gerald Everett, maybe. I mean, he's 3 out of 4 good weeks. And Donald Parham, whether he's back or not, especially with Palmer, and Valen Guyton went down with an ACL, by the way. So Mike Bandy was out there, I believe, for this team. So yeah, I think that this offense is going to run through Eckler and Mike Williams and maybe Gerald Everett. We'll see about Keenan Allen with the issues he's had. I'm not playing Keenan Allen in his first week back. And again, we want to see if the Chargers are actually good. They should be able to go into Cleveland and win.
And what kind of a fight do the Browns put up, and do the Browns try to play keep away, basically, and just feed more of Nick Chubb with a dash of Kareem Hunt? Hell, you could use a little Darius Johnson if you wanted to. The continued usage of David Njoku is something that I'll be monitoring and watching. In the leagues that I have Njoku, I've been happy when they use him, and I've been upset when they haven't, because he's a good player. Yeah. And he's part of one of their only good players in the passing game. But we'll see what Jacoby Brissett does on Sunday.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is Amari Cooper is good for fantasy, very good when he's not facing a top corner. Now, this week, J.C. Jackson is getting healthier. He wasn't on the injury report last week. So I'm not saying bench Amari Cooper. I'm not saying to shoehorn Donovan Peoples-Jones into your lineup, but don't be surprised if it's another week where Peoples-Jones is targeted more than Cooper and has a more productive day. David Njoku, I think, is clearly in our tight end 1 ranks until we see evidence to the contrary. But really, this is about Nick Chubb. And see, when we say these teams are playing football like it was played, 30, 40 years ago, we're usually complaining, but we're not when it's Nick Chubb. We love it, right? Watching Nick Chubb run the ball is like when you're on a, African safari and you get to see like a tiger hunt down a gazelle or something. It's like, this is beautiful in terms of the just the energy that he summons up and focuses on each individual play. He's a speaking of Jedis, he's a Jedi, right? I mean, he has the Force, and it is a beautiful thing to watch him at his peak. It's great to see that people are recognizing that, and it might be enough. It might be enough. Remember, the Chargers have problems usually stopping the run. They gave up a 75-yard touchdown run to Dameon Pierce. If you had trouble with Dameon Pierce, you're going to have trouble with Nick Chubb and maybe Kareem Hunt too. Kareem Hunt, remember, he's getting those opportunities at the goal line. The offense is moving pretty well with Jacoby Brissett, so keep Hunt in as a flex, if not a running back too.
Okay, let's talk Bears and Vikings up next in the NFC North, excuse me, with the Bears side of things going, all right, more Khalil Herbert. That's all good with me. More Darnell Mooney, Bloom. Can we mix a little bit of that in? Like, that would be good for the Bears and good for Justin Fields. Fields proving that you can be a running quarterback and still not have fantasy value.
Right. Like Cam Newton a few years ago with the Patriots. You can score. You can get a lot of rush attempts and still be a bad fantasy quarterback.
But that was old Cam Newton. That wasn't like young Cam Newton. Tim Tebow couldn't throw, and he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Justin Fields, why are you broken?
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see if maybe giving Luke Getsy in this offense a few weeks, like you said, relying more on Darnell Mooney, who's at least a what-the-heck flex, because of what you saw results when you throw downfield to him. You're going to see some Khalil Herbert. You may even see Khalil Herbert if Minnesota comes out to a big lead here. Remember, the Bears are actually 2-2, and they weren't that far away from beating the Giants and going 3-1 last week. And that's it. This defense is going to have a game effort. They're going to do their best to keep their team in the game. I guess the biggest question here is, if Minnesota opens up a lead, do they actually go to some sort of 2-minute drill offense, right? Some sort of offense where you try to pick up the pace and use Justin Fields. You still can use him as a runner in the 2-minute drill. That's okay. Or do they just continue to hand the ball off to Khalil Herbert?
And what does that do against Minnesota? And Minnesota, get Justin Jefferson going, please. Yes. More. Yes. Jump start it, lawnmower, pull string, whatever you got to do. Like, get it going again, because it's beautiful and it's wonderful when it works. Dalvin Cook with his 2 shoulder braces. Like, okay. And they still have Alexander Madison. Honestly, I did a video, Bloom. I know you watched it, where I came on coffee break with Rachel Vigil. And I had a winter jacket on with the big hood, because I said, I'm on my way to Minnesota so I can go get Alexander Madison for the Broncos. But either way, that didn't happen. They got Latavius Murray. It is the Broncos show. The Vikings, they've got the talent. This is the matchup at home. You should be able to showcase that talent.
Yeah, you should be able to. You should be able to showcase this offense like they did in week 1 against Green Bay, who's got a better defense than Chicago. It is a Justin Jefferson week, and I think with Justin Jefferson, we're looking for defenses that either have the individual player or the wherewithal and game planning to take him out of the game plan. I don't think that's the Bears. I don't think the Bears are going to be able to do that. And really, only Adam Thielen is viable for our lineups, not Irv Smith, not KJ Osborne. 2 catches for 56 yards and a touchdown to win the game. Not enough to get him involved in the game plan the next week. That's it. And Dalvin Cook. I mean, you're going to keep playing Dalvin Cook. We do see Alexander Madison in a few more times on passing downs. That's possibly why Alexander Madison got the touchdown instead of Cook. But I still think you got to play it straight up. Keep Cook in your lineup. Madison on your bench, but not dropped because it's Dalvin Cook. And eventually one of his arms. Remember that old Saturday Night Live season? Was it the All Drug Olympics? When they had the Kevin Nealon was like the weightlifter. He's like, he's going to attempt to pick up 800 pounds. And he pulls up and his arms just come off. That's going to be Dalvin Cook one of these days.
Yeah, that made me sick. I bad memories from that one.
Fake blood.
Yeah. Not a very.
That was the last golden age of Saturday Night Live, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Dana Carvey.
It sucked for 20 years now. So
30. Maybe 27. Well, Will Ferrell. There was a little bit. Will Ferrell kept it up there a little bit for a little while.
A little dash. All right. Little tiny dash. Speaking of time, keeping it up there for just a little bit, there's Dan Campbell and the Lions as they go up against the Bailey Zappi Patriots. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. And the Lions, it's like, okay, it is a perfect combination, Bloom. You said this on the recap show, I believe, where it was like their defense sucks and the offense has talent. So, yeah. So the defense still going to suck. I don't know how much you're going to have to put up against New England to win, especially if it is Bailey Zappi. But all right, go showcase that. Jamal Williams, you picked him up. You love it. Keep plugging away at it. Keep going with that. And of course, Jared Goff and all of his weapons. You feel a little bit better if you got a Detroit player on your team. And we haven't been able to say that in a while, Bloom.
Yeah, the Detroit Lions offense is a multiplier for fantasy football. And I don't think we're going to see DeAndre Swift. Remember, Dan Campbell basically told us that. We'll see about Amon-Ra St. Brown. We'll see about DJ Chark. If St. Brown's out there, obviously you're playing him. I think even if St. Brown and Chark are both out there, I'm going to watch the practice reports. Hopefully Josh Reynolds can get in some full practices. If he does, I'm playing him. I don't care who's out there. He has that chemistry with Jared Goff. Now, when Jamison Williams comes back, that might change things a little bit. Likewise with TJ Hawkinson. And again, in case you missed it, the numbers were there, but it wasn't just the numbers. Cecil, it was really the first time I can remember TJ Hawkinson looking like he was a handful after the catch.
Yes.
Looking like an aggressor, right? And a true aggressor. A George Kittle, a Travis Kelce, right? A Dallas Goedert. These guys that are aggressors when the ball is in their hands, that they're looking to give out punishment. And you try to arm tackle me, you better come correct. And that's what we saw from TJ Hawkinson. So I think this could be a confidence thing. It could be confidence in terms of targeting him. And it could be confidence in terms of what he can do after the catch for him. And you're going to play Jamal Williams. Whether or not Swift is out there, I don't think if we do see Swift with the bye coming up next week, 8 or 10 touches. So it's still Jamal Williams.
We can't see Swift, can we?
I don't think so. I think that Dan Campbell actually is rational, right? I mean, how many times do we see teams mess this up? It's a marathon, not a sprint. So and remember, Swift had an ankle too. So let that stuff heal up with the extra week of the bye and let Jamal Williams do his thing because he looked good on his 51-yard touchdown run. I think with Goff, what we're going to learn this week, because it is New England's defense, and New England's defense frustrated Aaron Rodgers at times. Remember, it frustrated Miami in week 1. It was a 4th down pass on 4th and 7 to Jalen Waddle. It was really the best play for that Miami offense. So if Jared Goff is truly a fantasy quarterback 1 again, he's going to have a good game in this game. If he's just a streamer, a matchup play, then New England will figure out a way to thwart this offense that has not been thwarted yet.
Yeah, the thwarting shall begin, and Bill Belichick leaning around the tree, right? He's all getting ready to go because he's going up against Jared Goff. All right, so the New England side, I guess it's Bailey Zappi.
Yeah,
which means more Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, more, please. And then who the hell knows? Zappi threw for 1 million yards in college. Saw him at the Senior Bowl. Wasn't impressed. And of course, Senior Bowl, whatever. There's your drink. But like, all right, what's a Bailey Zappi Patriots team look like? Well, we're fixing to find out.
Yeah, sounds like a new drink, right? especially around Christmas time. We're getting into the colder weather. Get some Baileys.
Oh, are they bringing the Bailey Zappy back this month
can't
at
wait
Starbucks?
for the Bailey Zappy. Yeah. And look, I'm not going to.
Bailey's Zappy, am I right, fellas? Yeah.
You can say anything with innuendo, right? Look, that's what we should do. We should just have a show where we say names of football players in the suggestive ways, right? L'Jarius Sneed,
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean.
Yeah. That's what you maybe click the check mark next to him this week. At least with Bailey Zappi, and I understand maybe it's Garrett Gilbert, by the way, this week. They got him on the practice squad. But I think we are continuing to see this is a quick aside, quick. It's about your processor more than any tool, more than any mechanics, more than any experience in a system.
1,000%.
It's your processor. So if Bailey Zappi's tools are underwhelming, but his processor works at NFL speed, and at least we saw evidence that he wasn't overwhelmed last week. And Green Bay's defense, front seven especially, Rashawn Gary and company. So there could be something there because of the processor. And it really makes me wonder, Steve, with all this simulator technology, why is there not a quarterback simulator so that teams can just put the NFL speed defense simulation and say, make decisions? And you'll probably be able to figure out pretty quickly, because this is why some quarterbacks bust that go, like Mitchell Trubisky, right? Some quarterbacks go in the top 5 and they bust. Right.
Well, not top 5, but still, and Ted Sundquist has that technology down in the springs. Him and Peyton Manning have worked on it.
Yeah, that's it. So it's just interesting watching and seeing who fails and who succeeds at quarterback. It's Stevenson and Harris. They're both running back to what the heck flexes, and that's it. Watch Hunter Henry. Johnny Smith is banged up again. So I'm not picking up Hunter Henry. He's not even on the waiver wire watch list. He's on the waiver wire watch list. That's about the best we can do with the passing game for the Patriots right now.
All right. See, we've got some scorchers to finish off this part 1, Bloom. Part 2's got to be better, right?
Right.
I'm just going over these matchups. I was like, oh my God, Seahawks and Saints. I guess that's better based on Pete Carroll lighting it up. Where Gino, why is the offense working better with Gino? He does what we tell him to do. All right, Coach. All right, Coach. Pete Carroll's a jerk, but he's going to drop not 50 on the Saints. Let's say 24 on the Saints this week. And with Geno Smith and with Run of the Rock, all right, get out there and do your thing. If you're Rashad Penny, a little more Kenneth Walker would make me happy, Bloom. And then we're left to see what's there for your Tyler Lockett's and your DK Metcalfs. But Seattle's a little more exciting. And Geno, the best thing with Geno is they wrote me off and I didn't write them back.
Yeah. You got to love it, man. We're all rooting for Geno. This is another game. All right, are these teams actually good? By the way, really quick, didn't mention this. Gotta mention again on Detroit, New England. True revenge game. We throw the term revenge game out a lot, but the players on the Lions roster who played for Matt Patricia, that's a revenge game. This was the Beastquake game, remember? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7-9 team in the playoffs. Who got the last laugh? Marshawn Lynch always gets the last laugh. So Geno, he's a startable fantasy quarterback because he has wide receivers, he has tight ends, he has a running game, and he has a willingness to throw. He's not afraid of mistakes. He's not afraid of something that's going to put him in the doghouse, maybe because he does what the coaches tell him, right? And Geno is a startable fantasy quarterback until we see. And even Lockett and Metcalf both in your lineups. Marshawn Lattimore. Wow, that's the other Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, not a shutdown corner this year so far, really. Rashad Penny has momentum. I think you got to play him just because he's got that momentum. And one of the things that was going on last week also is he was in on some 3rd and longs. And Pete Carroll's crazy enough to run him on 3rd and longs, and he's good enough to break long touchdown runs on defenses that aren't expecting to run on 3rd and long. So it could be one of those plays that makes your week here against the Saints team that is ceased right now, and Will Dissly remains a what the heck tight end. Right now, at this very moment, the pick that the Saints traded the Eagles, number 4.
Whew.
Yeah, Howie Roseman, everybody. Howie Roseman.
He's addicted to trading. He's totally addicted to trading. How is it kicking the pants, man? Anyway, let's talk about the Saints. And you don't have Latavius Murray walking through that door to save you because, well, Alvin Kamara banged up. Mark Ingram banged up. Last week they did go to Murray. He did have 57 yards and a touchdown, and then they let him go. Okay. They did try. What's interesting to note, Bloom, did you know this? They actually offered to put him on the active roster. And Latavius said, no, I'm going to Denver. Latavius chose Denver. Why is that?
Because of the laws in Louisiana and the laws in Colorado.
I don't know the laws in Louisiana, but I know in Colorado we treat everybody like adults. So let's keep that going, and let's talk about this Saints team that's looking for answers. And I guess it's Andy Dalton again. I loved it. The news report earlier in the week was like, Andy Dalton may continue as the starter. It's Dennis Allen. Jameis Winston could be like 99% healthy, and Dennis Allen would be like, one more week. They didn't even win with Andy Dalton, but it doesn't matter because he's safe, and I guess going to pepper Chris Olave with 15 targets.
Yeah, so we got questions upon questions for this Saints offense, right? Who's going to be at quarterback? And I think this isn't just based on Jameis Winston's health. I think it is based on Andy Dalton being safer with the ball. And I think you saw last week the offense was reasonably productive, even without Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. And Jameis Winston, I mean, they lost to the Panthers. This is a team that he had a good fourth quarter against Atlanta. That's basically been it for this team right now. And they didn't get anything going against Tampa Bay. And they lost to the Panthers. Did I mention they lost to the Panthers?
To Baker Mayfield.
Right? They lost to the Panthers. Now, you have these questions upon questions, right? If Andy Dalton plays, that's better for Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara, but we don't know if they're going to play. Maybe even the tight ends get involved. Maybe Adam Troutman is coming into his own. I'm not saying to play him. It's that waiver wire watch list, right? Jarvis Landry, but he's not healthy. Now, if Winston is in, then you get the air yards or prayer yards, thanks John Daigle, to Chris Olave. Although, again, at least without Kamara and Thomas, Olave showed last week he's a viable play with Andy Dalton. And then there's the backfield. Again, even if Alvin Kamara plays, what about Mark Ingram? I don't even know if we know his injury yet. So we're back to Tony Jones, who was a healthy scratch, even though Kamara was out. Dwayne Washington. Usually this is a Saints team that has so many running backs in reserve that no matter who goes down, they've got a good player. But now that good player decided to go to Colorado instead.
Head on out to the mountains of Colorado. And the final game we're going to talk about here in part one of the week 5 preview is the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. The Miami Dolphins are going to go with Teddy Bridgewater. Bloom, I'd rather talk about Skylar Thompson scooping up all those rookie cards off of eBay. I'd rather talk about him because he's one snap away. And, well, Teddy's fine. Ain't nothing wrong with Teddy. But he will get off of his reads so quickly. Like, he'll go through his progressions because his processor is incredibly fast. There's no problem with Teddy Bridgewater's processor, Bloom. The problem, though, is when it takes Tyreek Hill, you want to wait just a little bit because that window's a little further down with Tyreek, right? So you want to wait just a little bit, and Teddy will come off of him. Be like, covered, check down. Covered, check down. Like, no, just hold. Wait. There's Tyreek. He's almost open. Teddy, you missed it. Anyway, lots to talk about with the Dolphins side of things. Now it's against Robert Saleh and the Jets. It's a divisional matchup. Robert's going to have his defense as ready to go as much as he can. How do the Teddy Bridgewater Dolphins respond?
A lot of Tyreek Hill, right? I mean, we saw that whenever Teddy Bridgewater, I think Scott Barrett put a stat out there that he had a 60 air yard pass to Tyreek Hill, which is the longest of Hill's career. Although I think the one that Mahomes did into triple coverage in preseason was longer, but it wasn't regular season. So a lot of Tyreek Hill and maybe more Mostert, maybe more balance. And there's another thing we're watching. Remember, folks, what we saw for the first 4 weeks isn't necessarily what we're going to see going forward. Maybe the Miami running game is starting to get on track now. Remember, these new schemes, players take time.
Takes time.
Yeah. So the Miami running game, that was also supposed to be one of the strengths of this offense. And Raheem Mostert looked like he's moving ahead. I know Chase Edmonds got the touchdown, could have had 2 touchdowns last week. The other thing I'm going to watch, just watching again, it's tight end. See, every single tight end on a roster is on the waiver wire watch list because that's how bad tight end is. But Mike Gesicki's actually good. Maybe Teddy Bridgewater will look to him a little bit more. And real quick, with all eyes on Miami and Tua Tagovailoa now, you can feel it in Mike McDaniel's his comments. Like, we really don't know when Tua is going to be back. Maybe he's back in week 6. Maybe he's back in week 16. Maybe I think there's at least some non-zero chance he's not back this year. I think that they're going to be very, very cautious with him. And see, there's a lot of football players, I think, if they were very, very cautious with them, that shouldn't be playing this week, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're putting that kind of scrutiny on a player and whether he's truly healthy enough to play, there's a lot of players that shouldn't be playing. But Tua has that now, so we could see Teddy for a while.
Could see Teddy or could see Skylar Thompson. The Jets said it in the waiver wire show, Bloom. Zach Wilson was impressive.
Yeah.
Now, maybe my expectations are so low on Zach Wilson that, that's why he looks so impressive. But the dude was making plays out there with the Jets this last week. He's energized. Robert Saleh's energized, certainly. And we know with Breece Hall, it's working. There's your Jake Lloyd reference, but it's working. Like, yeah, okay, keep it up, Jets. Now, what else you got?
Yeah, and maybe Cease, this is are either of these teams actually good game? Or we thought Miami was good, and then they lose Tua, maybe an emotional letdown in that game against the Bengals. But if the Jets win this game, then we have to start taking them seriously. And the Jets have had their own injury problems, but they're not hanging their heads. I think this is a great coaching job by Robert Saleh, by the way. This is a great, great coaching job by Robert Saleh, because there's every reason for this team to say whatever. But they are summoning up great efforts. I do think that if you have to play a Jets receiver, it's Corey Davis. But we're fact-finding here. We're collecting data. Because Corey Davis isn't as dynamic as Garrett Wilson or Elijah Moore, but just like we saw last year, especially when the play breaks down, that Wilson's looking for Corey Davis. So it may well be that all 3 of these guys are what the heck flexes in any given week, and it depends on the matchup. Now, normally Miami would say, oh, bad matchup. Xavier Howard's not healthy. You can see it. Like when Rashad Bateman is fast. I mean, he's not fast, but he's got decent speed. When he's running away from Xavier Howard, you weren't surprised to see him show up on the injury report with a groin injury. So, yeah, maybe there's something there. And we're watching Zach Wilson's confidence in his quality of play. Breece Hall is definitely the play over Michael Carter. Still wouldn't drop Michael Carter. This isn't the waiver wire show, but I'm just saying, don't just drop Michael Carter, because if Breece Hall gets hurt, Michael Carter is good. And Michael Carter can be a lead back in what is, again, is this offense good? Is this team good? Maybe, even with 5th and 6th string offensive tackles. Maybe. And then, of course, there's Conk Daddy, Tyler Conklin, and he's not on any watch lists. He's in lineups because that's how bad it is at tight end.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal out there. Well, you've waited for it, and now it is time for our K1. I'm going to call out K1. K1 gets it. He understands. He knows what's up. It's his favorite segment. It's time for our Sleeper of the Week.
It's time for the Sleeper of the Week, powered by Sleeper.
Woo! Yay! Sleeper of the Week, Bloom, and powered by Sleeper. You were not sleeping on my sleeper earlier in the show when you mentioned KJ Hamler. I thought I could sneak him in. I was like, I'm not going to say his name. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to break it out, and it's going to be this big surprise. KJ Hamler. Oh, yeah. Woo. Sleeper of the Week. And then you were like, KJ Hamler. I was like, oh, man, you got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
Yeah.
But either way, KJ Hamler is that Sleeper of the Week, so long as his body responds well. And it's a short week, so, we'll see. And I watched 9 minutes of stretching, Bloom. It was a fantastic 9 minutes. But either way, KJ Hamler is that player where you throw him in, what the heck flex, Sleeper of the Week, make it happen, because I think the Broncos are going to turn into an air show. That's my Sleeper of the Week for part 1 of the Week 5 preview. Bloom, who you got?
Yeah, from the 8 games we talked about in part 1, it's got to be Khalil Shakir. And it's as long as the snaps are there and the targets are there, I think against the Steelers defense, you're going to see Josh Allen have more success than he did the last time he played the Steelers. But join us for part 2 for more sleepers and our What the Heck Flexes.
Yes, What the Heck Flexes. That's coming up in part 2. That is coming up tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock Mountain Time. The forgotten time zone, Bloom. But either way, everyone out there, go forth, be awesome. What do the Y-Files always say? Like, be safe, be kind, know that you are appreciated. He's Sigmund Bloom. You follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil. Is the outro video going to play today? Yesterday when it didn't play and we had to do the music.
Boom. We can do that.
Just kept it in. Maybe we should just do that. Instead of all this pre-production, right?
Beatbox, Cease? Did you ever beatbox in your time?
Oh, I tried.
The kids still beatbox?
The kids? What are the kids doing these days? All right. That is a wrap. Follow us on everything. Like, comment, share, subscribe, YouTube things, algorithm, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he's Sigmund. I'm Cecil. We are the Audible, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.